Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Merry Christmas. Today we're going to be looking at common misconceptions about the story of Jesus' birth. We've all seen the nativity scene set up in front of people's houses. We've all seen the shows or heard the story. But the honest truth is there's a lot of things about the way that we tell the story that just aren't in the Bible. So today we're going to look at 3 things that are commonly misunderstood about Jesus' birth. Number 1, the inn. Most of us have heard the story where Mary and Joseph are coming into town and Mary is in active labor, and as they go to each reception desk at all the different hotels, they're all at max capacity because of the census. And they check everywhere and there's no room except for in a barn out back. So Mary and Joseph, they go and they set up shop in the barn, and Mary has baby Jesus. And Jesus is laid in a manger there, and all the animals are around, and they all have, there's tons of spin-off books about what the animals are thinking and stuff like that. But the honest truth is, this version of the story is just not in the Bible. Now, the reason that we've kind of put together that he was in a barn is because of the manger. That's it. Now, the manger was a feeding trough that was used. Obviously, they put food in it, and if animals would eat out of it, it just made a great makeshift cradle. Here's what we know. The word inn is used in some translations, and it's not used the same way that we use it today. We use it to talk about a bed and breakfast or a hotel, but they would have used it to refer to a very specific section of the home. Now, this word for inn in the New Testament can also be translated as guest room. Now, here's actually what happened. Mary and Joseph arrive into town, and of course, because Bethlehem is an ancient city and the census requires you to go back to your ancestral town, the town of Bethlehem is overwhelmed with people. Now, as he gets to his family's house, they are prepared for him, no doubt, but they are not prepared for a pregnant fiance, obviously, because they know that Mary and Joseph are not yet married, so they've made accommodations of a different sort. But as they get there, they see that Mary is very pregnant, which they would have not expected, and they are not prepared for it. So they make a makeshift baby room. They get ready for labor and delivery. They were not ready for it before. They had no room in their inn for an additional person, baby Jesus. Now, many times this story is told, and it's told from the perspective of these people were just rejecting Jesus, but actually what was happening is they were just not prepared for Jesus. And quick side note, we often think that Jesus was born at nighttime. We don't know that. We make that assumption because the wise men followed the star. Now here's the thing. You can follow stars during the day as well. You just follow where it was the night before. So Jesus could have been born during the day. We just make that assumption because of other things that we know in the story. Number 2 is the wise men. Now, there's lots of fun stuff to talk about with the wise men, and maybe we'll do another video. But here's the thing. A lot of people think that the wise men showed up right when baby Jesus was born. But the truth is, we don't really know when they showed up. The word that's used to describe Jesus could either be translated infant. It is translated occasionally as infant, but generally speaks of a toddler. So when the wise men show up on the scene, Jesus probably was around 2 or 3 years old. We don't know for certain. Another thing we commonly misunderstand about the wise men is we often think that there's 3 wise men, but actually there could have been 20, there could have been 2, we don't know. We know that the word is in the plural form, and we know that they brought 3 gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So at your next Christmas play, when you see 3 wise men, just know there could have been 20 there, and everybody could have been a wise man instead of a sheep or a rock. Actually, really interesting, the 3 gifts that are given to Jesus are all gifts that you would give a king. And this is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew, and the whole Gospel of Matthew is pointing to Jesus being a king. Over and over and over, Matthew uses references from the Old Testament, and he points to Jesus being the King and Messiah of the Jews. And finally, number 3, Jesus was not born on December 25th. Now, I know a lot of people understand this one, so maybe I can help explain it just a little bit more. But Jesus was not born in December. We know this for 2 reasons. One is they would have not had the census during the winter. People didn't travel during the winter. They didn't have planes, trains, and automobiles like we do today. So they would have had to go through harsh terrain. And of course, if the king wants to tax them, that's why he's doing the census, he would have not had them travel during the winter. So December, especially late December, would have been too difficult of a time to make all your people travel. And second, in the story, both the shepherd and the sheep are outside. Now, here's the thing. Your shepherd and sheep would have been indoors, keeping warm so that they wouldn't have died in the winter. So they would not have been outside during the winter in late December. Now, some people have theorized that Jesus was born in the fall. The way that they do that is by looking at John the Baptist's birth. Now, remember, John the Baptist's father was a priest, and there was a schedule for when priests would serve in the temple. So some people have looked at this schedule, and they have done the calculations, and they've looked at when John the Baptist would have been conceived till the day he was born, plus 6 months when Jesus was born, and they've kind of put together that Jesus was born sometime in the fall, late September, early October. Do we know for certain? We don't, but could be. So there you have it. There's 3 things about the story of Jesus' birth that you may or may not have known. But if you're interested in more Bible content or learning more about biblical literature or misconceptions about things in theology, follow along. God bless you and Merry Christmas.